system conversion or rollout is when you actually go live, and there are different strategies that you can follow when you want to go live. Of course, each of these strategies have their own benefits and drawbacks, and they will vary depending on your organization. The four main rollout strategies, that is how you can go live, are parallel, phase, big bang, and the hybrid approach. We will study each one of them. There is no single best strategy, and each one has its own benefits and disadvantages. But some research and some observation in practice have shown that the phase approach is more frequently used in larger organizations, whereas smaller organizations prefer the Big Bang approach. What is the phase rollout or the phase approach? Well, in this phase rollout or phase approach, what happens is that the company has its ERP system on one side, but it keeps its old legacy system running at the same time. So in a sense, there are two systems running concurrently side by side. The new ERP system, which has just been implemented, and the old legacy system. But the legacy system is not running completely. What happens is that the legacy system only has some modules or some functions which are running, while the ERP system takes over the other functions that have been switched off in the legacy system. This approach is very useful because it does not lead to lots of disruption, and testing is easier because you test in smaller phases. You release a part on the ERP system and you switch it off in the legacy system, so you switch the ERP system incrementally. It also makes it easier for employees to learn the ERP system because they are not faced with the ERP system all at once. Instead, it is released to them in phases. And of course, there is less risk also involved. However, the limitation is obvious. You have to maintain the ERP system plus part of the legacy system. So two systems have to be managed concurrently, the entire ERP system and some modules of the legacy system. And you have to build some interfaces to integrate the ERP system and the modules which are still running in the legacy system. For example, I may have my ERP system for doing sales and production, but in my legacy system I might still be using it for the procurement. So it means I have to link or connect these two systems, and this can lead to very technical challenges. Another difficulty is that gradual change over a long period of time can be disruptive for an organization. People can get frustrated, and it can lead to a feeling of lethargy within the organization. So that was a phase rollout. As the name suggests, you do the rollout in phases. You have the ERP system, you activate some modules, you switch off these modules in the legacy systems, and later on you activate some more modules in the ERP system and you switch off these modules in the legacy system. The next approach for rollout is the parallel approach. It is almost similar to the phase approach with one big difference. The big difference is that in the phase approach, the legacy system was shut down phase by phase or module by module. Conversely, in the parallel approach, we do not switch off the legacy system. It runs concurrently as a whole with the ERP system also running in parallel. So after some time, when we are confident that the ERP system does its job correctly and is stable, then only the legacy system can be switched off. The main benefit of the parallel approach, of course, is that there are basically very low level of risk. You have two systems running in parallel. If your ERP system fails due to some bugs, you can immediately revert to your old legacy system. It is also easier for the employees because they can compare the two systems. They can compare how a certain activity or a certain business process was conducted in the legacy system and how the same process is conducted in the ERP system. So that facilitates user learning and training. However, this approach, as you can imagine, is very expensive. You have to maintain two systems concurrently, your ERP system and your full legacy system. It is also very inefficient. Why? Because data has to be entered twice. Once in your new ERP system and the other time in your legacy system, because you're maintaining two systems concurrently. Also, by having two systems running concurrently in an organization, this leads to confusion. People don't know, they may be confused about which system is better and what data is to be entered on which system and when to switch off the legacy system. So that was the parallel approach in which the ERP system is run in parallel with the whole legacy system together. The third approach is what is known as Big Bang. As the name suggests, Big Bang means you just do a Big Bang. So the ERP modules, the ERP system is released at once and immediately you switch off the legacy system. There's a direct transition from the old legacy system to the new ERP system. It has its own benefit. For example, it has the shortest implementation time. Why? You just switch off the legacy system and immediately start over to use the new ERP system. It's not expensive to maintain because you have one system running, and you don't need to maintain two systems concurrently, which is very efficient. However, it is also very risky, because what happens if when you switch off your legacy system, you realize that your ERP system has some bugs. And this, in fact, is a main limitation of the Big Bang approach. Finally, the fourth approach to roll out is a hybrid approach, in which you can combine one or two or more of these strategies, but normally you combine only two. It is common, for example, if you have an organization which is made up of a number of different business units. Some of the business units are larger than the others, and in the smaller business units you might use the Big Bang approach, while in the larger ones you might use a phase or even a parallel approach.